What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Overall, had a lot of fun here. Checked out some different games, and I got a chance to play a certain game that you should be seeing a video gameplay / review for it later on today, because I've been spending the whole weekend playing it, and that's going to be Mega Man 11. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Capcom sent me a code for some reason, despite me calling them sheep all the time, but I guess they just knew that it's a big Mega Man fan and it'd be worth me, I guess, checking it out. So we'll see. I played it on the Switch and get my thoughts later on today. We have some stuff to go over today, including, well, the EA loot box rates. They're out there now, and well, it's probably going to make you kind of mad because it's bad. These are some ridiculous rates, and they really are unacceptable. We're going to go over that, and then Shenmue, well, it might be coming to the Switch. We're going to go over that as well. First, though, we're going to start with some of the games coming out this week, because we are getting into that period of time in the year where games start dropping left and right. So I figure I'll start keeping you guys up to date with any games that are coming out for the week. That way, if there's one you forgot about, well, you can be reminded of it and know that you probably have to go out and buy it. So let's start here with Forza Horizon 4. That's out the 2nd, so that's out tomorrow. Fist of the North Star and Mega Man 11, both on that same day as well. So you got 3 games to pick from, although I think Fist of North Star will probably get run over a bit by the other 2. And then we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the 5th, and then Super Mario Party on the 5th as well. So we have a couple, 3 Tuesday releases and then a couple Friday releases. And honestly, I'm probably looking to pick up every one of them except maybe Fist of the North Star. That's not one I'm fiending to play, but Mario Party, yes. Mega Man 11, I've already finished it and the review's going up soon. And definitely Forza Horizon 4. I've been waiting for that one. Got Game Pass. I'll be downloading it tomorrow. And there was a $100 version, I believe, that you could have purchased and been playing for a few days now, but I mean, $10 Game Pass. I mean, you know, come on. I'm not waiting for it that badly where I got to get it for $100. But hey, if you really enjoyed the Forza Horizon series, maybe you've already been playing it with that Ultimate Edition, let me know down below. And also let me know what games you're looking forward to this week, because we're going to get to that point. Like I said, every week stuff's coming up, so I'm curious what everyone's buying so we can see what's, I guess, really popular this week. Then we also had a delay for Katamari Damacy Reroll. Do you remember how we had that shown to us in the Nintendo Direct, and it looked awesome because it looked like a remake or a remaster of the one from the PS2, Katamari Damacy? Well, Reroll is getting pushed on the Switch. It seems to still be coming out the same day, December 7th, on the PC, but at least on the Switch, according to 4Gamers, it's going to be pushed to December 20th, so 5 days before Christmas, it's coming out. As far as I can tell, it's mostly going to be a game a lot of people just download anyway, so I guess it's not a big deal, or if that's the case, whatever, you just download it 5 days to Christmas. But it is odd that it's only pushed on the Switch. Maybe they finally sat down, looked at the calendar, and realized that that's the same day that Smash Brothers comes out, so they wanted to get away from that, or maybe there was just some issues in the background when it came to actually getting it to the eShop and everything. Sometimes we've heard that, like, the certification process and stuff can be a bit slower, and we've seen how there have been some weird delays occasionally, so just look forward to that. If you're getting it on the Switch, you'll just have to wait an extra 13 days or so, but on PC, you should still be good. Also, we had an interesting bit of information come out about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu with the specific motion controls, where remember you gotta throw the ball to catch the Pokemon or use the Joy-Con controllers and stuff, and it's supposed to mimic what you do with Pokemon Go. Well, it looks like you don't have to use motion controls. There was a bit of information that came out from a representative to IGN that specifically mentions that you can use the joystick and the A button to, I guess, throw a ball or to catch them that way. But what's weird is, according to Nintendo, in another statement, the motion controls cannot be turned off. And when shown at a convention, a press event, how to do it, they set the Switch down in handheld mode on the table so that I guess it couldn't move around, because I've played Doom, and as you move it in handheld mode, the gyro controls still work. This is a weird situation, and we'll have to see more information, but right now it sounds like, yes, you can indeed use the joystick and the A button if you don't want to do the motion controls, but the motion controls will always be on, so just moving will probably mess everything up. But we're going to have to see more about this as we get closer to launch, or at this rate, probably at launch. All right, guys, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's jump into some of the bigger stuff, starting with Shenmue HD 1 and 2. These are, of course, releases for the PS4, the Xbox, and the PC, but there was no Switch version, and that was pretty obvious as people made a big deal about it at the time. Whereas the Switch version, well, it's just not happening, at least not at the time of those releases, but there was always a possibility of it coming to the Switch, and it does sound like people at SEGA want it to come to Switch. These are actually some quotes from around the time of Tokyo Game Show from SEGA, the localization team, the localization director, saying, "The fans have really shown their love for Shenmue, and for that, I really am grateful. Personally, I think it'd be great if you could play Shenmue on the Switch anywhere." And then following up with that one, that was from Hiroji Noguchi, and then following up there, Ego Kasahara said, "Whether or not we can do something like that in reality, we're taking the fans' opinions into consideration. Follow-up on that might take some time, but it's definitely something I want to consider." Is it really shocking that Shenmue 1 and 2, the HD collection, would actually go to the Switch? Not really. I don't think it's shocking at all. In fact, that's just easy money for them at this point, since it'd be a staggered release where that would come out later, and there might be people who would double dip on this. It does work on the GPD Win, 30 to 40 frames per second, and it's kind of cool to have that as a portable device. But of course, the GPD Win is less practical than the Switch, because there's a lot of setup and maintenance on that thing when it comes to just getting a game to launch and work correctly with the control setup. So obviously on the Switch, it would probably also run better even, because of course designed specifically for that hardware. So would they do it? I would say probably. I wouldn't be shocked, I'll say this, if we see Shenmue 1 and 2 HD Collection show up the back half of 2019. That's where I'm going to put it. I think they are working on it now, and I think it's going to show up. It's easy money for them. You know, maybe the porting process is a little more work, but I think there are a lot of Switch owners who would buy into Shenmue 1 and 2. In fact, let me know down below if you would buy Shenmue, even if you already bought it. Would you buy it again for the Switch, or did you just not buy it because you're holding out for a Switch version? This could be a game that sells extremely well on the Switch. Actually, might even outsell one of the other 3 versions just on the Switch, despite it coming later. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation experience. This is something we've gotten used to over the past couple of years now, where Sony will come together with their developers and people that you don't really know about because they're working behind the scenes to bring you the games that you like from Sony. Whether it's, of course, we saw God of War and Spider-Man and The Last of Us. Those kind of games. Games that are first party, that sell really well for Sony. They bring everyone together. That's where we learned about Medieval. Who knows what happened to that game, but I guess it's a thing still. We just haven't heard about it. But they're not doing it this year. And Sean Layden did confirm this on the PlayStation blog, basically saying, we're not having it this year, and that's because we don't think we have enough to show or talk about that's worth an entire convention to bring everyone together for it, right? It was definitely kind of for the fans to meet with developers and see the people who are working on these games and talk to them, especially if you watched last year's. There were a lot of people who were kind of bored by it, but if you really look at it, it's definitely for the hardcore PlayStation fans, and from what I've heard from people, it was a lot more fun to go there because you actually were playing games and hanging out and seeing some new releases and stuff like that. It was kind of neat. But not having it this year, it's pretty obvious why. Sony is coming up to the end of the generation. They're starting to wind down a bit. First-party studios are moving on to the PS5. There's probably not a lot to show from something like The Last of Us 2. Death Stranding is probably going to show whatever they're working on now for a trailer that's going to confuse us further for the Video Game Awards in December. So that's kind of where we are. We're at this weird middle year where there's not a lot to show. I have a feeling next year they'll have a ton of stuff to talk about, because the PS5 is probably going to be announced at E3 or even before then, and then kind of expanded on going forward. So no real games to show this year. Not enough anyway to rent out, you know, a big convention center or whatnot and bring all these people together. It just doesn't make sense. And it's interesting because there is going to be XO, which is happening in November. So Microsoft is going to have a big show, but not Sony. So it makes you wonder what Microsoft is going to announce, because now that they know that, they are the ones with center stage. Maybe they can blow the doors off the place there and really take over. We'll see. One thing's for sure, guys. Next year's E3 is going to be a really big deal. And I think everyone will want to really pay attention, because I think we're going to see new hardware. All right, guys, let's jump into this EA situation with these loot boxes. They disclose the odds for their player packs, or when you go in, you'll buy these packs, you open them up, you get a bunch of players. It's all random draw. It's essentially a slot machine, and it's basically gambling. A lot of people realize this by now. And they use a lot of exploitative measures to get people to buy into them, but they did tell us about the odds, and it's pretty bad. It's worse than free-to-play mobile games. Let me show you what I mean. Here is a chart that shows the odds. It's a screenshot of the actual odds here. Gold 75 plus player, 100%. Sure, you're probably going to get one of those, as they have to kind of pad out with, the worst players and stuff that you get. You get more of those. Gold 82 plus players moving up the ladder a bit, 41%. Gold 85 plus player, 4.3%. Ones to watch. Okay, that says less than 1%. Now, ones to watch, that's the players that you want, because they are versions of other players that you get previously in the other ones, the gold packs, or the gold players, I guess, but their stats will change and can rise if you do better and everything as you go forward. Everyone wants that, but it's less than 1%. They won't even make it 1%, by the way, guys. That means it could be a fraction of a percent. That's where we are right now with these loot boxes. It's insane. Let me show you an example of what I mean. I actually went in to a free-to-play mobile game called Dokkan Battle, and they have to show the odds for when you roll for a character, right? They have different rarities where it's R, SR, SSR. Here are the odds here, and you can see it's 5% for a featured premium banner character, and then it's 5% for just an SSR. So technically, it's much better. Either of those, much better than even the 85 plus player on FIFA. None of that says less than 1%. What EA is doing here is absolutely unacceptable. It's worse. This is a $60 game, guys, that has less of a draw than a free-to-play cell phone game that basically needs that to survive. It should be reversed. Like, what is going on around here? Even if you say, okay, not the less than 1%, it's still worse. The next step down is less than 5%. It's like 4.3%. So what's going on here? EA is absolutely pushing it with these loot boxes. I see why they didn't want to show these odds, but now that they're out there and we see them, it's bad. And here's the thing, I don't think this is going to stop anyone from buying into it because they want to be a part of it. EA is absolutely releasing, let's face it, the same game every year, and they're playing around with these percents in the background and getting you to buy into heavily luck-driven games that you just pour money into. It's a shame because these are very bad odds. These are very, very bad odds, and they're going to keep doing it. And I don't know. It's a bad situation here with $60 games like these just doing this. So let me know what you guys think about this down below. Now that the odds are out there, do you think you look at this, it's like highway robbery almost, especially when you look at, like I said, I just showed you an example of a free-to-play mobile game that needs that currency to survive because they're not selling theirs for $60. Let me know what you guys think about this down below, because this is a really crazy situation with where we are now with these big budget games. And finally, in our last bit of news, guys, let's talk about the UK sales charts, because they did come out. FIFA did top it. I know we just talked about FIFA as exploitative with their less than 1% for that player to watch. It still topped the sales charts in the UK. It's not surprising, though, because it's FIFA. The UK market loves football or soccer, whichever way you want to call it. But here's the top 10 here, starting with FIFA 19 at the top, Spider-Man at number 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider at number 3, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which, by the way, that thing is always up there. Crash Bandicoot has ridiculous legs here going forward. Grand Theft Auto 5, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, The Elder Scrolls Online, NBA 2K18, and Valkyria Chronicles 4, Minecraft Xbox Edition. I do want to point out a few things here, though. The FIFA physical sales from FIFA 18 going into FIFA 19 is actually down 25%. Now that could mean, of course, that, a lot more people are buying digitally. It's hard to say there. There was a split of 64% for the PS4, Xbox One having 35%, and the Switch having 1%. Could be 1% or less, the way, EA likes to describe these things, for all we know at this point. The legacy systems, as was described, were negligible, so very, very low, I would assume there. And then we found out about Valkyria Chronicles 4 having a bit of an interesting split. PS4 at 54%, Switch at 39%, and then the Xbox One at 7%, which actually surprises me because I didn't think that many people on the Xbox One would buy into Valkyria Chronicles 4. Dragon Ball FighterZ, you might be wondering where that is. That's number 29 for the Nintendo Switch. Overall, of course, we knew FIFA was going to be big like that, but they are down. So it makes you wonder if it is just people just uninterested in it, maybe because something like a Spider-Man is there and people have to decide what do they want. Even at this point, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still pulling away sales from some of these games, which is absolutely insane. But seeing that split, it's interesting because it does look like the Switch fan base in the UK, at least, aren't that interested in FIFA. It's 1%. Whereas something like Valkyria Chronicles 4 gets a much larger split going to the Switch and less to the Xbox One, which I think all of that kind of lines up with the audiences around these systems. Let me know, guys, about this one, though, down below, because it seems like FIFA is still doing really well in the UK, but is it doing as well as FIFA 18? Because the physical sales are down, so hopefully for EA's sake, I know it's tough out there for EA, but you know, if it does keep dropping like that and the digital sales on there aren't making up for it, maybe there is an issue there with their FIFA Ultimate Team. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the EA FIFA odds and the rates for pulling these different characters out of the packs and everything. Let me know about that, because that seems insane for that less than 1% for like the rare card, the ultra rare card and everything. That is very low. Even 4.3%, by the way, guys, is extremely low, as you've seen. So let me know what you think about that, because it looks like EA is very out in the open right now with their rates. What about Shenmue 1 and 2 going to the Switch? Let me know if you'd buy into that. And then what are you getting this week? I'm curious about that as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.